Good afternoon. This is John Michael Gurule. I'm going to be doing a presentation on Antioch in Syria, on the border of Syria and Turkey. There's a church called the Cave of St.Peter of Antioch. This is where all the Christians went to after the death of Stephen. And did bury Stephen, gave him a proper burial. He was stoned to death, and so after that stoning, everybody scattered, and because of the Pentecost, all kinds of people felt the Holy Spirit, the Comforter that Jesus sent, and everybody just took off to their own territories, and they started preaching the word of Jesus Christ to everyone. I mean, even Saint Barnabas of Antioch lived in Cyrene, in a Greek city, and he was a Hellenized Jewish speaking guy, and he went from Cyrene to Antioch to investigate what was going on over there. There was a lot of people preaching to the Gentiles, the Greeks, what they felt, the Holy Spirit at Pentecost. So everybody gets together there at the Cave of St. Peter in Antioch, and everybody gets a chance to preach to the Gentiles, and were the Greeks. And I'm going to start off with a story about circumcision first. So in the book of Genesis, chapter 17, verse 10 through 14, outlines God's covenant with Abraham, establishing circumcision as the mandatory everlasting physical sign of the covenant for all males in his household, including descendants and slaves. The covenant required circumcision on the 8th day, and uncircumcised males were to be cut off for breaking the covenant. The removal of the foreskin acts as a physical mark of the covenant between God and Abraham and his descendants. Circumcision must occur on the 8th day after birth. The promise, this is described as an everlasting covenant. Jewish still overwhelmingly practice ritual circumcision, Brit Milah, on babies' boys, typically on the 8th day of life, as a central 3,000-year-old sign of the covenant between God and the Jewish people. It is widely performed by both observant and secular Jews, including high rates in Israel. This ritual, Brit Milah, the procedure is known as bris, symbolizing a baby boy entering into the covenant. A meeting in Jerusalem between Peter and James met with Apostle Paul and Barnabas in Galatians chapter 2, verse 6 and 10. Again, Peter and Paul meet up in Cyrene, Antioch. Both opposed one another on circumcision and baptism in Galatians 2, chapter 2, 11 to 14, in Acts 9, verse 3 to 9. Between Jews and Gentiles, the Apostle Paul's name was Saul. His conversion on the way to Damascus in 31 to 36 AD. Saul was a zealous persecutor of Christians, was blinded by a divine light, and confronted by Jesus Christ, transforming him into Paul, the apostle to the Gentiles. He was blinded for 3 days, later baptized in Damascus, and immediately began preaching that Jesus was the Son of God. After regaining his sight and converting to Christianity in Damascus, the Apostle Paul of Tarsus was indeed Jewish, born into a devout family and raised as a Pharisee. He operated within the content of Second Temple Judaism, identifying as a member of the tribe of Benjamin, and despite his later work with Gentiles, continued to identify as a Jew throughout his life. According to Acts chapter 11, verse 19-26, the Jerusalem church sent Barnabas to Antioch to investigate reports of a growing diverse movement of Jewish and Gentile believers. Greeks. Barnabas, it was always Greeks here. Greeks lived in this territory because of Antiochus Epiphanes. Alexander the Great was Greek, and they all settled here in Antioch. So Barnabas, a good man, full of the Holy Spirit of the faith, approved of the work, encouraged the believers, and brought Paul from Tarsus to assist him in teaching the gospel there in Antioch from 40 to 42 AD. St. Peter was in Antioch in 34 to 44 AD. In Galatians chapter 2, verse 11 and 14, he runs into Paul and Barnabas and talk about circumcision between the Jews and the Greek Gentiles. At that time, the church at Antioch was called the Cave of St. Peter. There he preached for 8 years, and it was law in Genesis for Jews to get circumcised. Jesus Christ was also circumcised at 8 years old. God established a covenant with Abraham, requiring every male child to be circumcised on the 8th day. In Romans chapter 2, verse 28 to 29, the Apostle Paul teaches that true circumcision is a matter of the heart, performed by the Spirit and not physical, making Gentile believers true children of God without physical circumcision. Galatians chapter 2, verse 11-19, Peter stopped eating with the Gentiles till the matter was solved. 3,000 Jews were saved at Pentecost. Acts chapter 2, verse 1 through 10. 3,000 were saved. Those 5,000 were saved when Jesus fed the 5,000. And then there was thousands of Jewish people coming to the Lord when John the Baptist was baptizing in the Jordan River. This is St. Peter again. And right now it does tell you about he was in Antioch at the time Paul and Barnabas was there. Okay, just tell you here, Peter leads. After the resurrection, Christ appeared to Peter and gave him an awesome responsibility of carrying on his work on earth. Peter took up the leadership challenge with the resolve that came from knowing he would never be alone. He preached in Asia Minor, Antioch, where he was first acclaimed as bishop, and ultimately in Rome, where he often conflicted with the authorities. The first pontiff, first pope, he was martyred during Nero's reign, but laid the foundation for the popes of the next millenniums to today. So, with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started on another video. I'm going to try to make these short so you can watch and understand.